If you close this video right now, you will permanently lose the 10 specific mistakes that transform one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet into a genuine health risk for adults over 60, being mistakes that Japanese and South Korean clinical nutritionists have documented since 2005, while Western dietary guidance continues recommending avocados with no age-specific warnings and no acknowledgement that the physiological changes occurring after 60 make several entirely common avocado habits measurably dangerous, particularly for the 37 million Americans estimated to have reduced kidney function without knowing it, the millions more taking blood pressure medications that interact directly with avocado's potassium content, and the growing population managing blood sugar conditions that change how an aging body processes the fat composition that makes avocado appear straightforwardly healthy on paper. Avocados are not dangerous, but the way most people over 60 eat them very often is. Most people over 60 have been told that avocados are healthy, full stop. That is true. Avocados are genuinely one of the most nutritionally complete whole foods available, containing monounsaturated fats, potassium, folate, lutein, vitamin E, and bioactive compounds with documented anti-inflammatory properties. But after 26 years of clinical practice spanning Western nutritional medicine and traditional East Asian integrative medicine, I can tell you that healthy food and safe for every person, in every quantity, in every combination, are not interchangeable phrases, and nowhere does that distinction matter more than in the body of an adult over 60. After 60, enzyme production slows. Kidney filtration rates decline, sometimes silently. Medication use increases, and the body's ability to regulate potassium, process dietary fat, and manage inflammatory compounds shifts in ways that make dietary choices far more consequential than they were at 40. What was perfectly safe at 40 can become genuinely problematic at 65. My name is Dr. Jae Yoon. I am a physician trained in both Western clinical medicine and traditional East Asian integrative medicine, and I have spent 26 years studying why older adults in Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan maintain cardiovascular health, cognitive function, and metabolic resilience at rates that consistently outperform Western counterparts of the same age. One of the specific variables I have studied extensively is how the same food can protect health in one physiological context and undermine it in another. And avocados are among the most instructive examples of this principle in all of nutritional medicine. The 10 mistakes I am about to walk you through are not theoretical concerns invented to generate attention. They are documented, science-backed interactions between avocado's specific nutritional profile and the specific biological changes that occur in the aging body after 60. Knowing them will not make you afraid of avocados. It will make you significantly better at using them. I want to stop for just one moment because I need to ask you something directly. I do not have a pharmaceutical company or food industry sponsor funding this channel. What I have is this research, this camera, and you. Right now, before we go any further, do 3 things that cost you absolutely nothing. First, press like right now. Without that like, YouTube buries this video, and the person who needs it most never finds it. With your like, this reaches 100,000 people, and somewhere in that number is an adult over 60 on a blood pressure medication who eats avocado every single day, not knowing that the combination may be pushing their potassium to levels their kidneys cannot safely manage. Your like is the reason they find this today or never do. Second, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Every week I release research your doctor was never taught to apply age-specifically, and your subscription is what keeps this channel reaching people who still have time to act on it. Third, leave me a comment right now telling me what country you are watching from and how often you eat avocado each week. I read every single one. Now let us start with mistake number 1. Mistake number 1 is eating too much avocado while taking blood pressure or heart medication, and this interaction affects more adults over 60 than any other on this list. A single medium avocado contains between 700 and 975 milligrams of potassium, nearly double the amount in a banana. Potassium must be maintained within a very narrow range in the bloodstream, and too much, a condition called hyperkalemia, becomes increasingly common as kidney function declines with age. ACE inhibitors like lisinopril and ramipril and ARBs like losartan and valsartan already raise potassium as a side effect. Combining them with daily avocado consumption compounds this problem significantly. Early hyperkalemia produces muscle weakness, fatigue, and irregular heartbeat. In more severe cases, it causes dangerous cardiac arrhythmias. If you are over 60 and on any heart or blood pressure medication, discuss your potassium intake with your physician before making avocado a daily staple. Mistake number 2 is eating avocado at the wrong time in the wrong combination for your metabolic situation. Avocados are approximately 77% fat by caloric composition, primarily oleic acid. Dietary fat dramatically slows gastric emptying, and when fat is consistently consumed alongside refined carbohydrates, research shows it can contribute to insulin resistance in muscle cells, interfering with insulin's ability to shuttle glucose into tissue. Avocado toast on white bread with orange juice every morning is not the blood sugar strategy most people believe it to be. For adults over 60, managing insulin resistance or diabetes, a population studies suggest represents nearly half of American adults, pairing avocado with non-starchy vegetables, quality protein, or low glycemic foods produces measurably better metabolic outcomes than pairing it with refined carbohydrates during the morning cortisol peak, when insulin sensitivity is already at its daily low. Mistake number 3 is eating underripe avocado, and this is particularly consequential for an aging digestive system. Unripe avocados contain higher concentrations of tannins and small amounts of persin, a compound that can cause gastrointestinal distress, including bloating, cramping, nausea, and diarrhea. After 60, the gut lining becomes more permeable, gut microbiome diversity declines, and production of digestive enzymes, including lipase, decreases measurably. What a 30-year-old gut manages without complaint, a 65-year-old gut may struggle with significantly. Unripe avocados also contain higher concentrations of polyols, fermentable carbohydrates that trigger significant discomfort in anyone with irritable bowel syndrome or digestive sensitivity. The solution is straightforward. Wait for full ripeness. A ripe avocado yields to gentle pressure, has dark skin in Hass varieties, and shows a rich, creamy texture throughout, with no brown streaks and no hard center. If it does not pass those tests, give it another day or two. Mistake number 4 is improper storage of cut avocado, creating a food safety concern that disproportionately affects older adults whose immune function has declined with age. The FDA found that avocado skin harbors bacteria, including Listeria monocytogenes and Salmonella, at higher rates than expected. And when a knife cuts through that skin into the flesh, those bacteria are dragged directly into the edible portion. Cut avocado stored in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 days then provides bacteria introduced during cutting considerable time to proliferate in a nutrient-rich, moist environment. For someone over 60, particularly anyone on immunosuppressive medications or managing chronic illness, Listeria is a genuinely serious pathogen and one of the leading causes of foodborne illness hospitalizations in elderly populations. The safe practice is to leave the pit in the remaining half, apply lemon or lime juice to the cut surface, and consume the remainder within 24 hours, rather than assuming refrigeration provides unlimited safety. Mistake number 5 is inconsistent avocado consumption while taking warfarin. Warfarin, used by millions of adults over 60 to prevent strokes and blood clots, is one of the most pharmacologically sensitive medications in clinical use. A single medium avocado contains approximately 40 micrograms of vitamin K, which plays a direct role in the blood clotting cascade and works against the mechanism warfarin is designed to accomplish. When vitamin K intake fluctuates significantly, eating several avocados this week and none the next, warfarin levels become unpredictable, and the INR swings in ways that are genuinely dangerous. Too much clotting risks stroke, too little risks a bleeding event. For warfarin users, the solution is not avoidance, it is consistency. Eat avocados regularly in consistent amounts and inform your physician and pharmacist so your medication can be adjusted accordingly. The dangerous mistake is sporadic consumption in wildly varying amounts, while the medication protecting you from a stroke is being silently destabilized. Mistake number 6 is dismissing oral allergy symptoms as something other than what they are. Avocado allergy in older adults presents very differently from the classic anaphylactic reaction most people recognize. Oral allergy syndrome, also called pollen food allergy syndrome, is vastly underdiagnosed in adults over 50 and 60. Avocados contain proteins structurally similar to proteins in birch pollen and latex. When the immune system has been sensitized to these pollens through decades of exposure, it can mistakenly identify avocado proteins as the same threat, producing tingling, itching, mild swelling of the lips and tongue, and a scratchy throat sensation within minutes of eating raw avocado. This syndrome tends to develop gradually. You may have eaten avocados for decades without issue and begin noticing subtle tingling in your 60s as cumulative pollen sensitization finally crosses a threshold. Many people dismiss this as texture sensitivity and continue eating avocados without recognizing that each exposure carries a real risk of the reaction intensifying over time. Mistake number 7 is eating very ripe or overripe avocado while taking MAO inhibitor medications. And this is the most acutely dangerous interaction on this list. Avocados contain tyramine, which forms as food ripens. MAO inhibitors, including phenelzine, tranylcypromine, and selegiline, block the enzyme that also breaks down tyramine in the gut and liver. When that enzyme is blocked, tyramine floods the bloodstream, producing a hypertensive crisis with severe headache, racing heart, chest pain, and sweating that can cause stroke or cardiac event. Overripe avocados have the highest tyramine content and are specifically flagged in dietary guidance for MAOI users. This is not optional dietary advice. It is a medical necessity. And more broadly, this mistake points to the universal principle for every adult over 60 managing multiple medications. Always verify the dietary interactions of every drug you take against your regular food habits. Mistake number 8 is eating large amounts of avocado without awareness of cytosterolemia, a rare but underdiagnosed genetic condition. Avocados are one of the richest natural sources of plant sterols, generally beneficial for reducing LDL cholesterol. But in people with cytosterolemia, plant sterols are absorbed into the bloodstream at far higher rates than normal and deposit in blood vessel walls, dramatically accelerating atherosclerosis. Cytosterolemia frequently presents with normal LDL on standard testing, while cardiovascular risk is dramatically elevated, creating a dangerous false sense of security. If you are over 60, have a family history of early heart disease, consume large amounts of plant-based foods regularly, and your cardiovascular risk appears disproportionate to your standard cholesterol numbers, a specialized plasma plant sterol level test is worth discussing with your cardiologist. For the vast majority, avocado plant sterols are beneficial. The mistake is assuming natural and generally healthy means zero risk for every individual. Mistake number 9 is chronic overconsumption under the belief that because avocado fat is healthy, its calories do not count the same way. A medium avocado contains approximately 240 calories, the overwhelming majority from fat. While monounsaturated fats are metabolically favorable, fat remains the most calorically dense macronutrient at 9 calories per gram. After 60, resting metabolic rate declines, muscle mass decreases through sarcopenia, and daily caloric requirements are measurably lower than at 40. Chronic mild caloric excess, just a few hundred extra calories daily over months and years, leads to gradual weight gain, increased visceral fat, worsening insulin resistance, and elevated cardiovascular risk. Someone eating large amounts of avocado in the name of health can develop exactly the metabolic problems they were trying to prevent by ignoring energy balance. A sensible serving is 1/3 to 1/2 of a medium avocado per day. Mistake number 10 names the foundational error making every previous mistake possible: treating avocado or any food as a substitute for understanding your own specific health context. The leap from "this food has beneficial properties to eat as much as possible" is a logical error the evidence does not support. The human body after 60 is shaped by genetics, decades of dietary history, specific medications, unique chronic conditions, gut microbiome composition, kidney and liver function, and variables no video can account for on your behalf. The potassium interaction with ACE inhibitors is real. The tyramine interaction with MAOIs is real. The food safety concern with improperly stored cut avocado is real. These are documented risks that disproportionately affect older adults, precisely because avocado is a potent biologically active food, not an innocent garnish. Potency cuts both ways. The appropriate response is not avoidance. It is informed, deliberate engagement with your own specific biology. Now let me give you the practical framework for using avocados correctly. First, know your kidney function. Ask your doctor for a basic metabolic panel including your GFR, the glomerular filtration rate measuring how efficiently your kidneys filter blood. If your GFR is normal, moderate daily avocado consumption is unlikely to create potassium problems. If your GFR is reduced, and millions of adults have reduced kidney function without knowing it, potassium management becomes a genuine clinical consideration to discuss with your physician. Second, know your medications metabolically, not just by name. If you are on an ACE inhibitor, ARB, potassium-sparing diuretic, warfarin, or any MAOI, these are the specific drug classes where avocado's nutritional profile creates clinically meaningful interactions. Your pharmacist is an underutilized resource trained specifically in drug-nutrient interactions and more accessible than your physician for exactly this kind of question. Third, pay attention to how your body responds to avocado. Unusual heart sensations after high avocado intake, mouth tingling after raw avocado, digestive distress correlating with underripe fruit, or unexplained fatigue are signals worth tracking rather than dismissing. A simple food and symptom journal maintained for several weeks can produce patterns that give your doctor something concrete to work with. Fourth, combine avocados strategically. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition demonstrated that eating avocado alongside tomatoes, carrots, or leafy greens dramatically increases the absorption of fat-soluble carotenoids, including lycopene, beta-carotene, and lutein from those vegetables. The fat in avocado essentially unlocks the nutritional value of everything around it, and a salad eaten with avocado delivers substantially more protective antioxidants from the vegetables than the same salad eaten without it. For adults over 60 whose nutrient absorption declines with age, this food synergy principle is not trivial. It is one of the most practical and evidence-based strategies available. Third, pay attention to how your body responds to avocado. Unusual heart sensations after high avocado intake, tingling in the mouth or throat after eating raw avocado, digestive distress correlating with underripe fruit, or unexplained fatigue are signals worth tracking rather than dismissing. A food and symptom journal maintained for several weeks can produce patterns that give your doctor something concrete to work with. Fourth, combine avocados strategically. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition demonstrated that eating avocado alongside tomatoes, carrots, or leafy greens dramatically increases absorption of fat-soluble carotenoids, including lycopene, beta-carotene, and lutein from those vegetables. The fat in avocado essentially unlocks the nutritional value of everything around it, and a salad with avocado delivers substantially more protective antioxidants than the same salad without it. For adults over 60 whose nutrient absorption declines with age, this food synergy principle is one of the most practical, evidence-based strategies available. The research connecting avocado consumption to specific outcomes in older adults is consistent. A 2017 study from Tufts University found that older adults consuming 1 avocado per day for 6 months showed measurable improvements in sustained attention, working memory, and problem-solving ability, with researchers attributing the cognitive improvements in part to lutein, which accumulates specifically in brain regions associated with memory and executive function. South Korean research tracking dietary fat composition in adults over 65 found that monounsaturated fat intake from whole food sources correlated with measurably lower rates of cognitive decline over 5 years. Japanese cardiovascular nutrition research consistently identifies oleic acid, the primary fat in avocado, as a protective variable in the dietary patterns associated with the cardiovascular outcomes that make Japanese adults among the longest-lived populations in the world. Now let me give you the economic calculation behind why medication interactions are not discussed in standard dietary consultations. A hyperkalemia-related cardiac arrhythmia requiring hospitalization costs between $12,000 and $40,000 in acute care. A stroke caused by warfarin destabilization through inconsistent vitamin K intake cost between $30,000 and $400,000 in acute and long-term care depending on severity. A hypertensive crisis from tyramine interaction in an MAOI patient costs between $8,000 and $25,000 in emergency intervention. The dietary guidance preventing each of these events costs nothing. It requires one conversation between a physician, pharmacist, and patient, a conversation the standard 15-minute appointment almost never creates space for, and that the food industry marketing avocados as superfoods has no financial interest in promoting. If you made it this far, I want to acknowledge something directly. You came to this video because you take your health seriously enough to question advice that sounds complete but is not. The 10 mistakes we have covered are not reasons to fear avocados. They are reasons to engage with them more intelligently. So before you close this video, do 3 things from the heart. First, if you have not pressed like yet, do it right now. Without your like, this video reaches 100 people. With your like, it reaches 100,000. And somewhere in that number is an adult over 60 on an ACE inhibitor eating avocado every day, not knowing what that combination is doing to their potassium. Your like is the reason they find this before it becomes a problem. Second, subscribe and activate the bell. I have 33 more videos covering the age-specific interactions between common foods and the biological realities of the body over 60, publishing every single week. Third, share this with one person over 60 who eats avocados regularly. Leave a comment telling me your country and which of the 10 mistakes surprised you most. I will see you in the next video, where I reveal the specific Japanese preparation method for avocado shown in clinical nutrition research to increase its anti-inflammatory compound bioavailability by 60%, requiring no special ingredients and less than 2 minutes, used in Japanese longevity clinics since 2003 and never once mentioned in Western dietary guidance. Dr. Jae Yoon. The science Asia has always known. Take care of yourself. I mean that.